Hello. Welcome back to my channel. I am Tamara Joy, your faith-fueled realtor. And today we're going to be switching things up for you just a little bit. So normally we talk about mindset, faith, growth, how to put God at the beginning of your business and let him lead all of the plans that you have. But today we're going to be talking about the Minnesota real estate market. Oh gosh, I have hair in my face, but just bear with me. Minnesota home sellers, this one's for you. So, because buyers here in today's market, it's May of 2026, because they're buying homes so differently, I just wanted to come on here and talk about that so that you can really prepare yourself when you're thinking about selling and then actually going on the market. So, what I want you to really understand is what's happening in the scenes in a buyer's mind right now, because it affects everything from pricing to showings to negotiations. First, I'm going to empower you, encourage you a little bit. Homes are still selling. So don't think that that's something that's happening. People are still moving and life is still lifing. It's still going on. But buyers today are more intentional. They're making decisions cautiously. And when you can understand that as a home seller, it can help you position your home so much better in today's market. So I'm going to talk about 3 things that a Minnesota home seller needs to know right now to help them in the selling process. So, number 1, buyers are not shopping based on payment and not just on emotion. They're shopping on both. So, a few years ago, buyers had to move quickly. They had to make decisions quickly because our inventory was so low and the competition was like so intense. It just kind of like forced them into doing stuff. And now, because of the type of market that we're in, buyers really get to slow down and they're able to look at the full financial picture, kind of like a seller does. Like they get to look and analyze the whole number setting. They have a bottom line too. So they're not just thinking about payment. They're not just thinking about taxes. They're thinking about all of the taxes, insurance, utilities, repair, maintenance costs. They're also calculating, do I have to pay any additional buyer broker fees? Do I have to come to closing costs? Like they're thinking about all of these things because there's a number that they have in mind too that they're able to be okay with. And it's very overwhelming when all of a sudden, they are thinking about coming to the market and then they're walking into these houses and they are already emotional. And so we need to create a space for them to not feel so overwhelmed and can actually like make really good confident decisions. You want your buyer to make a confident decision because you don't want them to back out. You don't want them to be this window shopper, loosey goosey. Like you want them to be confident, to love your house, to know that they like are not going anywhere. And that brings security to you too. So when buyers are coming in and they're thinking about all of these other things first, we also want to make sure as a seller that your home is feeling not overwhelming at all. We want it to create this sense of peace. We want them to walk into a home and not feel like it needs a lot of work or that they immediately have to start adding these additional costs like to their mind that they already have. So when your home feels clean and bright and updated and cared for, buyers just naturally like feel relief. That emotional feeling that was so high just kind of eases out. Even like small updates like just decluttering, a little fresh paint touch up, even lighting, like having consistent lighting, light landscaping can completely change how a buyer responds to your home. And I'm not saying like you have to go do these full renovations. It's like you got to do what makes sense. If you were somebody walking into your house, what would you want to see, smell? Like your senses are going to all kick in, right? And it's like, what would make you feel calm and comfortable? There was a feeling that you once had when you bought that house that made you feel like, yes, this is the one. That's what we want to bring back to your new buyer. Okay. So Number two, then, is going to come to pricing strategy. Well, depending on where your home is at condition wise, is going to determine how does this reflect in the market today with where I want to price my home, and does it align? Does the condition align with what I'm asking? Does the supporting sales around me have like or better, right? Finishes, updates, things like that. And did they sell for the same price? Did they sell for less? Did they sell for more? Why does this matter so much? Well, 99% of your marketing and your online presence has to do with what your home looks like. And buyers are very cautious about overpriced homes or homes that sit on the market. And so your job as a seller is to be okay with what the market is supporting from a pricing perspective. So you want to price your home appropriately from day one. And if that means that maybe you have to, do a little things or a couple little things in your house to make it feel inviting and welcoming and warm and just to get that dollar amount that you want, then do it. If it doesn't make sense for you to do it, that's okay. Just adjust your price so that it matches what the market is telling you that houses are selling for, because buyers are really, really smart. They are. Buyers are so educated today. They watch the market daily. They live on Zillow. They're looking at not just homes for sale, they're looking at solds, cancels, expireds, trying to find off market deals, because what did I say in the beginning? They are very cost minded. They're adding everything up all the time. And so their mind is constantly going like this. Like, does this meet that? Does that meet this? Blah, blah, blah. Like, they're constantly going back and forth because they're finding value. They want to make sure that they have confidence that for every dollar that they're spending, that they have the feeling of having, that they have the feeling of joy, that they love the simple fact that they are buying a house, even if it's XYZ, although it has XYZ, right? And so they are smart. We as a seller are not smarter than the buyer anymore. Like, we're just not. So you have to come to terms that we don't have as much leverage as we maybe once did. And that's because of technology and the way that Google and Chat GPT and like all these things do for us, but also use it to your advantage to study the market, to understand the market, and talk with your agent about the reality of it. And even if it's a hard conversation, okay, it might be a hard conversation because you don't want to hear what is actually going on in the market. Honesty is the best wisdom you can have. And then understanding that is the best thing you can do as a seller. So then you're not frustrated and you can align your expectations with also the reasons of why you are moving, right? We all have motivation, because just like how they are buying your house, you're doing the same. It's always a pay it forward type of situation. So before they even come into like scheduling a showing, they're already comparing your house to something else. Like, that's just what they're doing. And one thing that you as a seller really need to understand too, along with pricing, is that if a home is sitting too long, buyers immediately start wondering why, and they just think it's overpriced, or they are like, nope, nobody wants this, and they'll just look past it, even if it's something that would be so perfect for them. So that is something too in itself that buyers just, they have gotten really good at paying attention to detail. And I'm going to be honest, most of the time houses sit because of price. A seller does want more than what the market is supporting, but there's also other factors too, right? Every house has their own set of ideal buyers. If your house is more in the rural, like country like setting, of course it's going to sit longer. And hopefully your agent was kind enough and protecting your interests enough, as they should, to be honest with you about the reality of how long it's going to take for your home to likely sell. In all reality, the homes that are getting the most attention right now are the ones that are priced strategically from day one. And honestly, creating excitement early is usually going to create stronger opportunities. And then chasing the market later with price reductions. You don't really want price reductions in this market at all. And lastly, I want to bring up the last thing is flexibility is helping homes get sold. So what does flexibility mean? Flexibility could be in closing costs, inspection repairs, closing timelines. There are things that our buyers need flexibility in. I'm going to be honest with you. Most of the purchase agreements that I have seen come in on my listings are asking for closing costs, and they're anywhere from 3 to 5%. So, what does that tell me as a listing agent? That tells me that buyers are needing closing costs as a part of their lending portfolio. Now, there's things to look for though, and I'm going to be honest with you. If you notice that your buyer, you come to the market, you notice that your buyer is a conventional buyer with 20% down, but they're asking you for 3% closing costs, I'm going to say is they probably don't need that, right? They just want to ask it because they were told to some way somehow, and they just want to check that off to say, I tried. But I want you to have the expectation that more than likely you're going to see closing costs, you're going to see inspections, and you're likely, I don't like saying this, but you might see that there's a home to sell, or at least it's in pending status. But I have seen a lot on my listings too that people come in with contingencies because they're afraid to shift until they find something because the inventory is low. So be flexible and really kind of think about like, well, what am I willing to do? Kind of set your mind up. So then when it does come around, you don't have to freak out and you don't have to panic, right? And you don't have to get mad at your real estate agent for telling you like, we talked about closing costs. They're asking for closing costs. And instead of shutting it out completely, it becomes a conversation piece. And how do we move forward with this? What does this look like? Can we offer this? Can we counter that? Like you're creating that win-win, collaboration, more to say, of a transaction. Now, I'm not saying that you have to give everything away. I am absolutely not saying that because that would not be a good agent at all. You do not give motives. You do not give away, your bottom line or anything like that. But you really have to look at the market as a whole, and you have to look at the transaction from a higher perspective, and then look at it from like, okay, so if this is what we have, does this give us enough for where we want to go? What do we need to make? What am I willing to sacrifice on? What am I willing to give? And that's where negotiation comes into with your agent. Make sure that your agent is being very strategic with you. I thrive off negotiation. I love asking questions. I love coming from curiosity. And that's why my sellers love working with me because I am very honest with them. They don't always like it, but they appreciate it in the end. So back to, kind of what I was talking about, it's really hard for sellers to not take things personally. But buyers are really just trying to create like financial breathing room because of today's economy. So the sellers winning in this market here in 2026, it's the spring market, are sellers who stay very, very solution focused during negotiations instead of being like emotionally reactive. And that's because buyers today are not just buying a home, they're also buying comfort, stability, peace of mind, and sellers who understand buyer psychology right now are the ones that are putting themselves in the best position to succeed as a home seller. And I want to throw this out there, if you are thinking about selling your home here in Minnesota and you want guidance, a conversation, or how to position your home correctly in today's market, like I would love to help you in that, have a conversation with that, like drop a comment, send me a message, because honestly, if you don't know how to navigate this process, it's going to be very frustrating for you. And that is the last thing that I want for you, whether you work with me or somebody else. So like I said from the beginning, a lot on my channel is about faith, mindset, growth, but I also bring real estate market updates and things like that to my community because my heart is for you to really know how to succeed well in this market so that you can move forward in your life and move on to the things that you see in your mind and that God has planned for you. And for me, I love doing that. So today's education was strictly on how to position your home, on how to sell and get behind the mindset of a buyer. And so if you took one thing away from this video, I would love, love, love to hear it. So just remember this as you are, going into selling a house. Just remember this. So number one is buyers are already coming in very financially costly. Okay, so pricing strategy matters more than ever. Number two is that you want to make sure that you are positioning your home correctly from the beginning with pricing. If it sits too long, a buyer is going to immediately wonder, like, what's happening with this? And you don't want to do price reductions. We don't want that at all. And then also, the homes that are getting attention are priced strategically from day one. They get offers, they get multiple offers, and creating excitement early is just going to bring much more comfort to you. And lastly, the other thing is be flexible. So be flexible as you are a seller in this season. Like, be flexible, be open, and kind of, just reiterate to yourself, like, why am I moving? What am I doing? Can I do this? Can I not do that? And have the vision in your mind that you are here to not just serve yourself, but to serve others too in the home selling process. So if you love this video, like I said, leave a comment, do all that. If I keep talking, I'm never going to get off. We're doing the long Minnesota goodbye. So come back to my channel for faith, growth, mindset, and your Minnesota real estate tips. Good luck.